All right. Finally, we are back. All right. Actually, quite a few things I wanted to discuss. As you can see in the description, uh, actually, been coming up quite a bit lately. Um, one, yes, I do believe in evolution. Pretty clear to me. Doesn't I don't really understand how people think it could be anything different, but they do. Um, between evolution, uh, even worse than the people that don't believe in evolution would be the people that believe Earth didn't have forests. Some fun facts for you guys I found. I think we'll go ahead and wait. See if I can get some people in here first, and then we will go from there. You can adjust these things while I wait. Move this. All right. So I'm just going to try to find some files real quick. Make sure I have everything set up and ready to go. All right, that's good to go. Yeah, so started noticing some that somehow the trolls are starting to calm down. Uh, all the the little bickering starting to go away. But then the other problem is that I'm seeing a lot more turmoil between other other flat earthers, other globers. Like everybody's just meshing. It's kind of weird, but pretty sure that everything kind of goes in phases. So hopefully that'll die out and everything go back to normal again. Um, for the main topic, though, I would definitely want to go over this no forest on Earth situation. Um, just the fact that people believe that Devil's Peak and all these places actually were these uh, mammoth trees. It's kind of, to me, ridiculous because first of all, it's granite, it's rock. Um, I think one of the main things people are not realizing is happening when they have these assumptions is that they're assuming that just because they look like a tree stump, that it is a tree stump. Yet, to me, it seems kind of ridiculous that anyone can go to that point. Um, one of the big things they like to go through is that it's the silica. Okay, well, let's get understand one thing. All plants have it. It's actually because of they grow through the dirt, and that's what comes up to that point. Yeah, buddy. I'm happy you came, Nick. We're going to start discussing that right now. How you doing? Yeah. So, yes, silica. Silica is actually dirt, and when the plant grows, it does have a silica base in it, but it is not made out of silica. Got some other pictures I'm gonna throw up real quick. Well, I'm gonna make sure that you don't believe it at all when you leave here. How about that? Um, pictures real quick. Okay, so this is one of the pictures I got off of one of the pictures I got off one of those no forests on Earth things, where they assume that all this right here is tree stumps. Okay, well, how about this? Let's see if we can make it little bit more sense. Um, this used to be basically a big plateau, and what happens is through floods, uh, ice ages, just natural disasters that happened millions of years ago, these things are formed. They're not tree stumps. There's a huge difference when you go into a tree stump uh, and going through rock, because for the big part of it is one is organic based material. Not. Um, the act of actually petrifying something is there's so much more to it than cutting down a mythical tree and then all of a sudden it gets old and becomes purified. First of all, it needs to be sealed. Needs no oxygen. That's what makes a petrified um, makes wood petrified and as hard as rock. I'm gonna go ahead and find another picture I have, or a couple other pictures I have. Yeah, that's the problem, Nick. Nick says we haven't been around long enough to see a tree purified. That is absolutely not true. Not only have we can actually make this process happen. See if I can find this real quick. Nick, what happened, or what if it happened during the flood? Well, if anything had happened during the flood, we would see an abundance of shrubs, these oversized tree branches clogged up at somewhere at some point. Um, is what natural? Because I got some good pictures of purified stuff and what's man-made. Nick, Nicholas, what did you say is man-made? When you how oh okay when we purify wood or petrify wood, my bad. Yes, that part is man-made, but the to how we do it is basically the same thing. So nature, we replicate it by doing how what nature does. We just speed up the process, basically. I had some really good pictures I wanted to put up. Um, yes, that's exactly how we do it. We speed up the process. Yeah, but speeding up the process isn't something that changes the situation. Even and if you want to make it that way, then it takes even longer to do it in nature, and it's not longer to the point where it's going to take trillions of years and it's impossible for us to see it. We see it, we find it, we can test it, and that's how we know that it's that. It's not. How, but Nick, how would speeding up the process change anything? Okay, Nick, you said we don't live long. We haven't lived long enough to see a tree petrify um, in nature. Okay, you're right. No one was born and died to see when it happened, but that doesn't change the fact that we can test it, see how it happened, know how it happened. By us doing it and speeding up the process, we can actually see exactly how it happened, and even then, how long it takes, and how and what it takes. It more importantly. I can't find them. Go ahead and go online and find it. Um, could change the result. I don't believe it could. Um, we can do tests and different different things to and that's how we know that like rocks break down and become pebbles, and pebbles break down and they become sand. Sand breaks down and it blows in the wind and becomes sand dunes. That's how we know how sand dunes are made. It's really not hard to say. These are things we can test and do. Um, just because the process we're doing is sped up doesn't change the fact that that's how it happened. Um, I know for a fact what I was looking for. I cannot show based on I know that it has a little copyright thing in the bottom of it, but there's a couple things I'm going to pull up right now um, to show you. Actually, I don't need to do that, do I? I want to cover that. Let's go ahead and start screen sharing. How the fuck? So, oh fuck. All right. So these right here, these are all petrified wood. Now, there's a very big distinction between rock and the petrified wood I want you to look at. All this is petrified. When we pull it up, you see these grains. See how there's still the patterns in it, the cell walls or whatever you want to call. Like there's still things that the tree will never lose. Now, this will be a good one that you guys would love to use as well. Look, it looks exactly like Devil's Tower. Well, there's a big distinction. What happens with these things? See this line? This line along the edge is that bark line, basically. When the tree is purified or petrified, it has to be sealed. So the reason everything still looks as if is because it was sealed. Now, when it does come apart, let's find another one. Where is it? This one looks like it. There we go. Nope, not the one I wanted. So basically, here you go. When that bark does come off of it, even when it's petrified, it runs smooth. It doesn't run the same way the bark does. The inside of that, it's smooth. It's not the same. It's not a like a membrane behind that, if that makes sense. Oh yeah, that's where I had them. Hang on, I gotta look. All right, look. I am very happy you said that, Nick. Nick, I think it was an old quarry. With all due respect to Brother Sanchez, I did listen to his stream the other day, and I can tell you right now, one of the really frustrating things is because I do work in construction and I've exported so many from quarries. I've backfilled quarries. I mean, you name it, I've probably done it in construction. So we're actually going to go into that as well with craters and meteorites and everything. Um, you're right. They don't say Devil's Tower is a full tree. They say it's a stump. Here's the problem: when you look at Devil's Tower, first of at what lies at the bottom of Devil's Tower is everything that broke off of it, and that is all granite rock. Um, that these things, because you believe that these things used to be trees because of the silica in it, is basically completely reversing the whole process of nature. Rock breaks down to sand. Sand does not break down or does not accumulate to rock. So to say that everything that's below it from erosion, ass backwards on the how nature works scale. Um, with that, also, biggest easiest way to find out these things is you can literally test, even if it's petrified. The wood, they're completely different. Even though it's petrified, it's still wood. It's just petrified. The patterns from on Devil's Tower is 100% from erosion, from rain, fire happens, it splits rock. Like I said, heat in a day, over thousands and thousands of summers, the heat during the day breaks all that down. Yes, okay. Even though that would happen, you're saying, Nick, when you say old quarries, after years and years of rain, how they basically would lose the shape of when the construction company was working it, right? Okay, but the problem with that is that why doesn't it do it with other rocks then? Or you're talking about the way Devil's Tower is. It does with a lot of rock. But here's the thing: between limestone, granite, blue granite, black granite, all the different types of rocks and materials, they all weather differently. Um, yes. Actually, yeah. I mean, Jay, what do I think about the Grand Canyon? The Grand Canyon was made through water erosion, 100%. I've talked to a few people, and the main thing that I see when I look at the Grand Canyon and every aspect of it is that it all shows water erosion. The main thing that you have to realize is, first of all, the machine that it would take to even have a chance at dredging out the Grand Canyon would, the size of it, first of all, would be huge, and we have no signs of any kind of equipment, anything like that, any kind of machine that could have possibly done it. And yeah, there's one side that's kind of like, all right, well, maybe, million years ago our technology was so good and so wonderful that we basically killed ourselves off, and when we killed ourselves off, all our technology that we knew, everything that we had just disappeared, whatever. If that were the case, all the Grand Canyon, for instance, the Grand Canyon would show effects of whatever destroyed the technology that did it. When you're looking at it from the sky, or better yet, when you're looking at it from the sky, you have to realize that for it to have done it over the millions of years, it had to have come from somewhere. Well, we've found the gigantic lake that was, I think it was in Montana, it was in Wyoming, and it took, I think they said it was, had to have been close to 1.2 million years for it to carve its way through with water. We've made models. We've seen how water can erode thousands of things in the exact same pattern, exact same way. When you were saying earlier, Nick, or hang on, before I do that, what's up, Project? Thank you for being here, my friend. Gold Punch, I don't really think I've talked to you before, but welcome. Not Bill Hicks Jr., welcome, my friend. Jay, Space Can Man, yes. When it comes to the machines that, like we were saying, the machines that you guys think may have done this, okay, the smallest, biggest machine that could have any chance of cutting at the Grand Canyon. Well, let's get one thing straight. The trillions and trillions and trillions of tons of material that would fill the Grand Canyon would mean that whatever they pulled out, it would basically fill what I consider all of California, every inch of it, from whatever elevation it is at right now. It would raise everything 1,000 feet in California, everything. The machine that would take to do that, and we're not talking move the material, we're just talking the digging aspect alone. The smallest, biggest machine I've seen today would be something called a Bagger 288. This machine, it's 721 feet long from bucket to tail, 315 feet tall. The chassis is 151 feet wide. First of all, to have gone from the north of America to the south, this thing probably would have taken up to 100 years to do. Also, the turning radius at 100 meters. I'm not sure if anybody has ever done this before. Drive a big rig or whatnot. The turn radius of a big rig, I believe, is at, I think it's 85, about 60, 70, about 60, 70 feet. This is 300 feet, which means I think 30% of the canyons would already be too small. Not to mention the dig pattern. Nicholas, I think you had said something a little bit earlier about the dig pattern. And I think it is a wall in Australia. I think you're thinking of. It's called, like, it's windblown rock or something like that. If you look at that, the top of that rock sequence that you're thinking of, it actually, you can see the rain, where the rain erodes off the top of it. The machine you're thinking of that everyone's thinking of that does this does not dig that way. It makes sense that it kind of looks like it. The problem with it is that you're looking at a broad stroke. You're not looking at how these machines dig, the patterns they dig, and dig that way. I'm going to go ahead and look for a couple of pictures real quick of the dig pattern, because it's very important that you guys understand the way these things maneuver and why the Grand Canyon was not a feat this thing could have done. And yes, it could have been done with any other type of machine, but an efficiency and money saving time for mining, this machine that I'm bringing up is the most effective one we have to date. And regardless of what I'm showing you, regardless of what we have in modern construction, it doesn't matter. There's nothing that they could have had that could make a dig pattern the same as a natural pattern, if you guys understand what I'm saying. Oh, here's a perfect one. All right, here we go. I'm gonna go ahead and screen share without showing my. All right, so if you look right here, this is the actual pattern of the machine I was saying. It's uneven. First of all, it can only dig and show a pattern 2/3 the size of the wheel. The reason for this is because it cannot dig up on the top and then down. It can't dig itself up. It has to dig in a one sweeping pattern. These are no patterns that we've seen in the Grand Canyon. If you were to do it with an excavator, which is this machine right here, the second one on the top, if you were to try to do it with that machine, you would see obvious scrape marks, even less even than the ones in the main picture. So it's kind of hard to justify it being that. Any machine digs, it has a mark, unless it's a finished grading machine. It won't be smooth like you think it is. Even now, when we talk about construction site like you were before, Nick, we were talking about, well, what about the quarries, and then rain and weathering. Even with rain and weathering, the Grand Canyon would have vertical lines, not horizontal like they are. We can see the shelves. We have elevation patterns, is basically what it is, and that is because of flowing water, not because of water that runs down, or machines that do it. A quarry would definitely not be able to handle the same situation. The quarry wouldn't end up like a crater would. Now I gotta try to find one of the craters, because there's one crater that really shows this a lot. The Arizona one. I know, again, like I said, all due respect to Brother Sanchez, he is far, far ahead of me on any kind of research I could ever do, except when it comes to these things. I'm gonna go into the crater right now. And like I said, I'm not saying I know about all the craters, but he did discuss this one, and this one was kind of one of the ones that kind of got under my skin when he was discussing it, only because it's, like I said, it's my profession, and to have it just have my profession described differently, kind of gets under your skin sometimes. But like I said, with all due respect. Yes, project. Millions of years ago, there used to be a lake. If you could imagine, I'm not sure if you know the size of Lake Mead, Nevada. Okay, well, imagine 100 of those put together. That was about the size of the lake that was in Montana, Wyoming. Once it gets to a certain overflow, or we get a maybe it was a big snowfall one couple winters. But what ended up happening is it ended up draining out and starting it. It took, I think they said it took about 2,000 of these catastrophic storms for this to happen. I don't know the exact link, but you can definitely go on YouTube and find it. It'll show you the lake. It'll show you how they believe it happened. They even made models that show it that way. Okay, so let me get this picture up real quick. All right, so here's one of the biggest issues I have with this. Let me do this so I can see what you guys are saying. Which one do I want? Sorry for the brain fart. All right, here we go. All right, the biggest issue I have with one of the basic issues I have right now with saying that this is an old quarry. There's one huge aspect of this. First of all, see this berm that's around the crater? This would literally be the most dangerous aspect of quarries and mining if this were to be how it was done. When it is referred to that the tops of the quarries are flattened out, that is because if you do not flatten it out, for one, you lose space. Two, it becomes the most dangerous situation. If you have guys running down through the sidewalls, down in the middle where they're mining at, or exporting material out of, all this top stuff, wind and rain, it would just topple over. It would just crash down and possibly kill somebody. There's no exit point out of here. Now you could easily say over here to the right could be an exit point, but if you know how a quarry is actually built, it's quarried from the top and then works its way down. So along this whole edge, even though, like you were saying, Nick, maybe just the rain and wind took out all the roads and aspects, it wouldn't completely do that. It would probably take, thousands of years to make this happen. But even with this happening, you would still see remnants of benches. Benches are what they use to make as roads. They cut little benches into the sides. Also, with those benches, what it does is it keeps water from doing this, where it runs from the top straight down. That's because that's how when the rain started hitting it, that's how it was. Okay, now what happens is when we build the roads / when we do the benches, they're designed so that when it does rain, the rain hits the bench and then will run along the edge, or sometimes the swell will be in the middle, but that's never to run over an existing edge. Let me go ahead and find a quarry real quick, because if you guys don't really understand what I'm saying, then it kind of is pointless for me to be doing this. All right. Okay. So I think this is actually one of the ones that Brother Sanchez was using. Okay. So when we're looking at this one, what you're going to be looking at is see the roads that run along the edges. These roads aren't just thrown in there; they're designed in there. So if the rain hits here on the top, this top, or on the screen, it's going to be the bottom left. It rain hits there, and then it literally follow the path of the road, and it runs down. The only line marks you will see, like in the crater, are along these slopes where the rain actually hits. Other than that, all the water is going to run along this inside edge and make its way down to the bottom. Or I think it came from both sides on this one, but those roads aren't just to get to the bottom. They're made for drainage, for the preservation of the quarry itself. It is very important. If it is not done, everything can become catastrophic. Here's a good example of it. I'm not sure if you guys can really see this one, but this quarry is obviously very old, but you can still see the steps in it. The reason you can still see the steps in it is because, one, it's rock, and two, the way the water drains out is it's made to be there as long as possible, especially when we're talking in the rock. Another thing that comes along with it is when you quarry out any material, whether it's rock, whether it's iron, coal, it doesn't matter. There's always going to be a deposit left somewhere. If these craters, I think that the Arizona crater, I think that was somewhere in the range of would be about almost 3 million tons that would come out of there. There's no place for it to have been. There's no place that we can look and see that it's there. When you think, okay, maybe it's spread out, maybe it's dumped somewhere underwater, well, we would see the different sediment. Every area has its own ID. We'll call it ID tag for itself. I'm not sure how many people live in California, but we have it 100%, and you can see it at certain times. We have dirt layer where basically, trees, grass, leaves, everything decomposes, becomes dark dirt. You get a little bit further down, it becomes a nice light brownish dirt. That is part of your silica. You go a little bit lower, we get what we call cobble rock, 6 to 8 inches in size. Go down a little bit more, becomes a shot rock, which is basically rock that hasn't been able to have water roll over it and smooth it out. So imagine cobble, but sharp. And then you go a little bit lower than that, it becomes sand. Then we got ocean. And then our water table. So basically, when you're looking at a quarry, especially a rock quarry, there has to be some evidence of a rock import that we're not seeing. Let me get back over to the chat. I know it's been a minute. My apologies. Tectonic plates debunk the globe also. I know I 100% believe tectonic plates, 100% believe volcanoes. Nick wants to play the dinosaur game. Hey, buddy, they're not dinosaurs anymore. I'm happy I got a forum to explain it. They are ancient animals because flat earthers hate dinosaurs. Other than that, there you go. What else? Nick, what do we have to do with how long Earth's been around? Water volume and landmass. Sorry. You guys are crazy. All right. Basically, what I'm trying to say is when we're looking at these craters, there are materials inside also the craters called nuclear glass. Now, personally, I don't know if they were old missile sites back in the day. No clue at all. Would make zero sense to me for them to tell us, because obviously they're assholes. But at the same time, there's the same material that nukes will make when they hit impact. These craters are making now. When we do find the crater substance, it's usually like an iron. Those 100% are meteors. There's no doubt about it, to me at least. Hang on, I'm sorry, guys. I kind of got brain went the other direction, trying to figure out this damn Hangout thing, because I know there's a few people in here that wouldn't mind jumping on and adding to this. Not sure if you guys know, still new to this, so talking to myself is feels kind of awkward to me. Hello, Marlena. I sent you an invite. I'm sure if you were wanting to get on or not. Dave, if you want to jump on. Project, if you want to jump on anybody. Anybody within trust. Oh yeah, I know. I hear you, Project. That's why I'm trying to do it as much as I can, just so I can get comfortable and find my rhythm. But my main goal is basically let's make a little statement. It was fun messing with trolls and trolls jumping on all the time, but I realize there's so much I want to learn. There's so much that I got to figure out, that I really don't have time to play those back and forth with them anymore. I'll go ahead and send it. You guys don't have to come on in if you want, but Dave and Project, I'm going to go ahead and send you guys invites just in case I say something you disagree with and you want to yell at me for it. It's cool. But yeah, it's the main thing I wanted to definitely say was, first of all, that Earth doesn't or there's no force on Earth thing. Fuck, it pisses me off. So frustrating. I'm not seeing your project. Get this one off real quick. I'm not seeing your name. All right, here we go. Need about 3 more seconds, guys, and I'll focus again. I have no idea. I don't see it. No worries, Dave. Nicholas, I wasn't going to send you one anyway. Okay, there you go, Project. I'm going to go ahead and send this right now. I don't know how everyone else does this, man. Talk and do this shit at the same time. All right, Project A, I went and sent that out. Let's see what you guys are saying. Marlena, people have a hard time wrapping their minds around, but Mother Earth was always here. Why does there always have to be a beginning and an end to people's minds? That is a good question, especially because there's no way we could ever actually completely prove the beginning. All right, cool, cool. But we'll definitely get back on that track. But oh, so back to the purifying the petrified wood. One of the other aspects of it, um, and how we know how it's made, is that for power to be an old stuff irritates me just saying it. We would have had to basically had a flood, a mud flood, an ice move or glacier movement that would have had to have been. I think that was hour 5. It would have at least had to have been 5 miles tall, to do the sealing and to make it petrified. But like I said, silica it doesn't work in reverse. Silica, there's no point where silica makes rock. There's no point where silica turns into a different type of material. What was saying? That's it. Nick says everything has to have a beginning. Marlene says you're programmed to think that way. Try to open your mind. I see exactly what Marlene is saying. Everything doesn't have to have a beginning, especially if you don't know where the beginning could have possibly started with. For instance, it rains. Is that the beginning of a lake, or that was the evaporation of that lake the beginning of the rain? Can't answer the question. Therefore, Marlene is right. Actually, you can't tell the beginning. As to a creator, I think everyone's viewpoint on that is so widespread that it's impossible to, at this point, especially, pin it down. Nicholas, or the creator didn't just create us. But then, one thing to understand when you say that, Nick, is that there are things that are here because other things broke down, or other things were affected by weather, wind, whatever it may be, that not necessarily had to have been created. There may not have been deserts a million years ago. The course of the 2 million years of rain and wind started making deserts, or oceans receded, and the beach sand that was there got picked up by the wind and blew over a mountain or a hill, and that's where the dune started. I know they've tried, at least here in California, they tried to actually find what is called a pack, material hard enough to build on and mine. So dug down, I think it was out in Thermal, which is Glamis here in California. I think they were able to dig down, it was 240 feet before they hit hard packed. Now, when you look at where Glamis is set up to where the mountains are set up, we know that of what we have is Laguna Mountains, and the Chocolate Mountains or Johnson's Reserve. Basically, all that wind is what blew all that dirt and material down through the desert. We have patterned slides of mountains that have slid over 20 miles through earthquakes or whatever it may be, or just pure erosion. Nicholas, just because you can't find where the beginning is doesn't mean there isn't one. Okay, but here's what you're saying. what Marlena was saying would be the more of a definition of that than what you're saying. Because if you don't know there's a beginning, you can't say there's a beginning. If you don't know where the beginning started, there's there's no beginning that you could tell. Just like I said, is the evaporation of a lake the beginning of a rain, or is a rain the beginning of a lake? You can't. It's a circle. It doesn't. Where does it start? Um, Marlena says, "Mother Earth is mother for a reason, not Mother Father Earth. This is just what I've been taught in my native culture. Yeah, but it doesn't mean that there is. But what if that, Nick? What if that beginning was just the end of something that already was going on? I'm happy you said that, Marlena. With I said it to the higher beings for sure, higher consciousness, except higher consciousness. That is my imagination, or what I'm thinking of it as is evolution. Um, Now I know a lot of people hate that, hate evolution with a passion, but it's real. And our brains, the way our brains work, the way we function, everything has been evolved. I talked with someone the other day, and they said it was just adapting. There are two versions of that. If I decided I want to be a sea creature, there is, and I never wanted to walk on dirt or land again. Um, I would have to adapt to the ocean over 1,000 years, maybe so. If I found someone else that was willing to do the same, and our children only played in water, never walked on land, over many generations, they would most likely start to become more webbed. And because of that, that is based on evolution. That's not adapting to the situation. And we see this in animals all the time. Marlene says, "Yeah, evolution has its consciousness levels, not our physical body shit." Yeah, I don't understand what you mean, Marlena. Because I even feel everything about a human um, is evolution. Even I'm not even saying, like I was saying, I don't. I find it hard to believe we came from an ape. Um, I mean, the characteristics are very close, which is why I believe scientists believe that. But I mean, at some point, I mean, it's very clear. At some point, we figured out tools. Um, Now, the tools are a way to adapt, but the the the
Hi.
knowledge to use those tools is evolution. How you doing, Melina?
Hello. I'm good. It's better for me just to talk in here instead of you have to read everything.
Yes, thank you.
You're
So much
welcome.
easier, and I don't have to talk to myself
Right?
anymore.
All right. Oh, I thought there was people in here with you, but that's good. I don't mind. Consciousness, as in we ascend, and I know it's true because it's I've seen it. I've been seeing it happen. People with, we've always had certain abilities, right, Sean? We've always
Hmm.
had abilities to communicate, like say with my people, right? The communication where the men would go out to hunt and the women would stay home, tending to everything in the village. But what was going on was they still communicated telepathically. It's
Okay.
a
Okay.
proven thing, like through and a lot of Native people still do this technique. But everybody can do it. It's a gift that everybody has. You know, when you think you're reading someone's mind, you probably are. Or your first thought that you say someone walks in your first thought, what you think they're thinking is usually really their thought. And it sounds really, really hard to fathom. But once you
No,
that,
it
for other people, maybe, you know,
okay. I guess you can almost say it's kind of like a married couple that's been married for 60 years.
right.
That's almost they
Or
don't.
children or your children.
Yeah, exactly.
But you really are. You know, there's these certain things that we can do as a species that we're so suppressed. You know, telling people they are not allowed to do stuff, or that are not allowed. Sorry, that they can't. That word can't. As soon as someone tells you you can't do something, you're not going to do it. And they start children off very early by introducing them to Santa Claus and then taking that away, and then
Hmm.
that starts bringing them to that whole thing of not believing anything, that no magic, any kind of magical things aren't real.
Yeah,
You
I
know what I
understand what
mean?
you're saying. Yeah, yeah. I was watching a documentary about magic and all that stuff, and they were kind of laying it on the lines of um, whoever made up the term of magic like it was something that you know someone did that was impossible. But it's kind of what like the Santa Claus effect. It's always been an illusion, but it's illusion. Um, it's so yeah, basically it's always been an illusion. It's never been poof, all of a sudden $1 million is in my hand. And someone just made it that way to be make it more spectacular when in reality it's normal.
Well, they just legalized witchcraft and magic here in Canada in the last few months. So why would they do that if
Hmm.
it wasn't real? You know what I mean? Like, why
Yeah,
do something like that if it ain't real? You know, it
I guess
sounds
on my end, I don't really know very much at all about it. So
okay. How about
I think
manifesting? Or how about this? I know this happens to you. It happens to everybody. When you think of someone, all of a sudden they'll call you or they'll show up.
yeah, that is weird. That's
Yeah,
that's a good that's
you
good.
you did that. You know what I mean? You're the one that did it. It could be a high school friend. It could be like somebody that you haven't seen for a long time, and then you just think about them, and boom, you know.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. I was listening to a show on the radio, a talk show, and they were talking about what a deja vu is, and
yeah.
the neurological guy clue. They're trying to figure out if it's your brain trying to is like a brain hiccup. I think the guy was saying, like
Mm,
your brain, like I guess he was the way he basically said it was, your brain stores everything that has happened, and a deja vu, what it could be is a deja vu is like your brain hiccuping to see if you've been in that situation before.
right. Yeah. It's like everything adds up to the same thing that you've experienced, but it's not. Like this is
Mm.
people try to explain something because they can't explain it. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? So they'll make up little things. I'm not saying make up. Maybe for some people it is like that. Maybe certain things do add up, and then all of a sudden, it seems like a deja vu. But a deja vu is not that. A deja vu is your pineal gland telling
hmm,
you. It's showing you, like you're. And what we do is like when that happens to you, right? You get a certain feeling. You don't just have a deja vu. You get that whoa. You get that feeling.
yeah, absolutely.
You know what I mean, right? You get physically feel something happen when you get a deja vu. So what we're taught is when you get that deja vu, try to keep that feeling as long as you can, and this will build up your pineal gland. It's almost like working a muscle.
Ah, okay. And
Yeah, but it is. It's a feeling, right, Sean?
yeah, and that would almost be like having like a psychic abilities, it being
Hmm.
having that to the full strength, basically.
That's right, and it is because when you take somebody that their pineal gland isn't calcified, it when they cut it open and they dissect it and look through it, it has every single thing that the eyeball has. Now, why would
Oh,
they have that inside our head if
I
it
didn't know
wasn't
that.
a function? Yeah, it's amazing. It's so easy to decalcify it, and once you do that, because not everybody is, but a lot of there was somebody, I can't remember which gentleman it was that was on one of the shows you and I were on, but he was talking about he does X-rays, and
I
that
think it may have been Project. I think Project Frequency does that. I'm not 100% sure. If he's on, he'll say something though.
yeah, because he said how he's seen it was like I think 1 out of 3 of people, or 1 out of 10, I can't remember the number exactly because I was kind of in the middle of something, that he could physically see that it's calcified, you know.
Okay, yes, I remember. I remember that one. Yeah.
Yeah, so which we know is all true, and supposedly they think that it's fluoride that calcifies it, and this
Hmm.
is why they're putting fluoride in our water so much, and they put fluoride in our toothpaste, and they're putting it everywhere. They're putting it even in our bottled water. That see, I was buying bottled water, so I didn't get the fluoride. Then one day I'm looking, see this fluoride in that fucking bottled water. It's supposed to be spring water, right?
Yeah, they actually have the pH tests. You can actually
Mhm.
run those pH tests on them now and see which ones are better for you. To have less, believe it or not, have less chemical in it, which is
Right?
amazing.
It's
Um,
ridiculous.
yeah, it's
I could use my pool kit then because I have that that little kit that goes in
exactly.
the pool, right?
Yeah, I
That
was
should
watching
be.
a YouTube video of a family that was doing that. They got lined up all the different waters, purified waters you can find in a store, and they checked the pH on all of them. And you'd be surprised, like Fuji water, all those
So
waters.
which one was the best? Because I had to know. Which
Um,
one did
I
they say is the best?
I think it was, if I remember correctly. Yep, don't remember. But I do. I remember Smart Water, Fuji Water, and
Smart
Arrowhead
water.
are not good.
Wow.
Those the pH levels were super low.
So smart level, smart water. What was the other one? Sorry,
Ar- Arrowhead
Arrowhead
and Fuji.
and Fuji.
Yeah, those ones have.
Oh, and I love the Fuji bottle.
Yeah, it has a
Like it's
really
so.
low one, really low pH levels. Like not good.
Oh, good. Oh no. Okay, I got that
Yeah.
backwards. Wow, is that something? And another thing, Sean, is people say distill your water, distill your water. Like basically, you know how to distill your water with the two, or you could buy it, whatever. But you could. I don't really think that's a good idea
No, that's also something
because
I
it's
was actually going to want to
yeah,
talk about
it's
because
dead water, man.
yes, here's a problem with distilled water. Um, your body has minerals and little bacterias in it that are good for you, and you need them.
Uh
Distilled
huh.
water takes all that away.
Yep.
It has mineral um, no mineral properties at all in it. So basically, all you're doing is tricking your body. And I say this because I know 100% it's tricking your body into thinking it's hydrated when you're
Hmm.
dehydrating yourself.
That's
Um,
right.
when I'm getting ready for tournaments or a fight or anything, I have to cut weight. One of the ways I do this is I overload myself with water. Last 2 days, I drink distilled water, which makes my body believe I'm still drinking water, but it flushes all my fluids out for 24 to 36 hours. I'm able to lose up to 15 pounds of water weight doing this, and that is because of this distilled water. Um, Distilled water is actually, if you're going to use distilled water as a source, it is actually dangerous, unless you're taking some kind of supplements or vitamin, or some kind of supplement that will help you get these minerals back. But um, uh,
I see so many
uh,
people
hey,
advocating it. Oh,
mhm,
distill your water. And not realizing they're feeding themselves something that's dead. And I say it's dead water because it is dead water. There's nothing in it
mhm,
that's helpful. Like you said, it dehydrates you, and water has memory. So if you're killing off your water, it's not going to be helping you. You know.
exactly. Yeah,
Water's so important. Like there's so many. We. I'm glad we're talking about this, Sean, because nobody does.
yeah. I've actually heard a lot of streams where people are saying, I drink distilled water and this, and I just want to jump on there so badly and to say, stop, you're going to kill
Right.
yourself. Yes, your body is so remarkable when it comes to the stuff you put into it. With something just as basic as water, like I said before, I get ready to do my weight cuts and everything, which It's very dangerous, people. Don't do it.
Can I ask you something?
Yes,
What kind of fights do you do?
cage, just like MMA, jiu-jitsu,
Wow.
all that stuff. Um,
Well, now.
but cutting weight is very
I
dangerous.
know. I worked with this
I
man. He was a bodybuilder, and this is when I worked at a correctional center. And he would go into his thing like you know, have to cut his weight where he's pretty much nothing but muscle.
mm-hmm.
And
Yep.
fuck, he was cranky. You couldn't say shit to him, right?
Yes. Oh
I
yeah.
think the
I get
roid
very
I,
irritable.
I say roid rage because I don't know if he's on roids or not. But he used to have this, and I was thinking because he was neglecting his body of water.
Yes, 100%.
He would
It's
have these pains and fall to the floor, and
but
yeah,
yeah,
you have those.
that's comes from excessive loss. Um, when you do cut weight, you're very irritated. That's because you're dehydrating yourself. You're not eating any foods. There are certain things like certain foods, apples, oranges, that I can eat that won't stay on. The Probably the worst one of them is chewing ice in a plastic bag. Tricks my body into thinking I'm I'm hydrating
Chewing
myself.
ice out of a plastic bag.
So if you chew ice, just you put ice in your mouth and you chew it, you're drinking water still. Um,
Oh, I get it
but
now.
when I'm
Okay, and
yeah,
that makes
so
you
when I
very gassy.
yeah, so
And
basically
building up gas like that's bad for you too.
so basically I can feel the coldness and I can feel the bag's moisture. I think I'm getting water even though I'm not. That's just one of the ways you trick your body into thinking that. But
Wow.
irritation, just everything irritates you, and it's all
Hmm.
for the sake of 10 to 15 pounds in a 24-hour period. There's the only real gain to it is that you're not. I wouldn't be ever going against a guy that's going to be 25 pounds heavier than me at any time, or that I'll be bigger when I get into the ring. But if no one cut weight, it'd all be the same. And I
But you know
wish
what?
MMA
When
was
you
more
do
better.
that, right, Sean? When you do that to your
Uh,
body, and then you go to
yeah,
fight, um, is like, are you really as strong as you could be, or if
no,
you have in
absolutely. It's
have that?
100% fact. The
Okay,
there's no gain to cutting weight. The only reason it's done is so you can be the bigger person. So I walk around at 170. Um, for me to just fight at what I'm at now, um, I would most likely be the smaller. I would be a smaller guy to someone who's cutting weight. If the other person didn't cut weight, I would then be able to even fight. But
right.
because one person figured it out, everyone figured it out, and that's how it's going to be. Uh, I'm sorry, I'm kind of saying what's up to some guys that just came in.
Yeah, I seen that.
um, so basically, what I do is I walk around 170. I cut down to 145. It's not all water weight, and it takes probably about 3 weeks to complete this cycle. Um, but what ends up happening is I will weigh in at 145 pounds. Within the 24 hours leading up, I will probably regain 2/3. So I'll probably walk in at 160, 165. So what's ended up happening is me and the other guy probably walk around at the same body weight. We both cut weight. We both went to a lower class, and then we walk in a little bit more depleted than when we started our training. Um,
Wow.
there are situations where guys can't cut that weight, so they have to be in that certain division. There are guys that are small further. So a guy that weighs 150 pounds but can't cut down to 135, he'll be at 145, or he'll cut to 145, walk in at 150, and I'll walk in at 165, 170. So there is an advantage at that point, but I'm still not at 100% because I've had to do everything I needed to do to get that low. If I,
Right. It must be
yeah,
dangerous
so
for your heart to do that, isn't it? Do you think?
yes, there. I'm still amateur, so there are commissions that when you go pro, there are commissions that will not allow you to lose. It's about 25 pounds. And anybody who's done high school wrestling, I didn't do high school wrestling, but I know a lot of wrestlers. Those guys from, I'm saying, 10 years old to through college, they're doing this weight cut I just described every week. Um, it stunts, when you do it that much, it stunts your growth. You start turning gray because your body is in such,
Yes, he looked like he was gray.
it's because
That
your
guy I
body,
worked with.
yeah, it's because the cells in your
You know what
body,
I thought it
everything in your
was? I
body
thought it
is
was
out,
because he
is in
was
high.
going tan. Right. I'm sorry.
No, it's high. Your body, all your body's going through a high stress level. Um,
Wow.
Luckily, with in MMA and jiu-jitsu and all those, there's always a a huge break before you do it again. So one match happens, you won't have, it won't be for weeks or even months that you'll be doing it again. So isn't so dramatic compared to as a collegiate wrestler. Those guys are crazy.
Right. So what's your water intake at that point? Like how do you manage your water? Because you can drown. If you drink too much water, you can actually drown yourself.
Yes, water drunk. It is. Okay, so
Yeah.
this is what happens. So within, I probably start about 5 weeks. The first 2 weeks is when I start watching what I would eat. Um, then I get down to the third week, and what I'm doing now is I'm drinking more water than I normally do, but I'm not overloading myself. So I now have a certain amount. I have 2 gallons that I need to be drinking every day. Um, last week is when everything really gets different. By this time, I no longer can eat anything that will stay on. Um, Water intake is still 2 gallons of water, but I've now have no salts. Anything that I've eaten before that has salt or carbs, I'm not doing anymore because I don't want my body to hold on to that water. Um, to the last 4 days. Now, the last 4 days is when everything gets what I call real. That 2 gallons, I am now drinking 3 gallons on the third day till weigh-ins. What I am now doing is I'm making my body think I have so much water that I no longer need that water. Nick, I do the distilled water thing only if I have to. If I don't have to, I will not. I'm at day 3 till weigh-in, and I am now overloading my body with water. I'm peeing like a racehorse. I'm talking every time I take a sip, I have to let some out because I have that much in me. I go to sleep very irritated because I am full of water. Day 2, I've now cut down. I'm back down to about 1.5 gallons. Now I want my body to believe it has enough and I can get rid of. So
Wow.
so what happens is I get to about 36 hours to weigh in, and I completely cut everything. No food, no water, no nothing. Then it becomes very real because then I put my sauna suit on. After I have put, usually I rubbing alcohol all over me. I put a sauna suit on and I go sit in the sauna. I run.
What's the point of putting the alcohol on you?
It opens my pores, makes you sweat.
Wow.
You wash your face at night or something, and then you do all that stuff to cleanse your skin. Well,
Right.
if you use rubbing alcohol, it dries it and it opens your pores up. And I do this head to toe.
Wow.
Then I go sit in
That can't
a dry sauna.
be really. Because
Say again?
alcohol dries. Like I said, it can't be really that good for your skin, though, right?
Oh,
Because
it's absolutely
alcohol
terrible.
dries your skin. Yeah, it dries
It's
your skin out
completely
really
terrible.
bad.
Like I said, because all the water overload and no water at all, you're very irritated. So imagine how irritated you are, sweating. Like
Mhm.
I could probably that I can lose. I easily can get to 13 pounds. The most I've ever dropped is 18. At that point, I stopped at 18 because I didn't feel like it was safe. I felt very unsafe, unable to control my body. at 18
Wow.
pounds, so that's my cutoff. Um, and when I did that, I had drank distilled because I
Yeah, because your
figured
body gets mad at you, right?
it's 100% exactly like that is too. It's your
Yep.
body says, "What the hell are you doing? Okay, if
Yep.
you're gonna do this, I'm gonna cramp up on you." Yes, cramps are very bad, and you can't think straight basically. Um,
Under asked you if you're drinking distilled water.
yeah, if I'm in trouble and if I'm not gonna make weight as easy as I normally would, that's when I go to distilled water because, like I said, your body will believe it's drinking water, but it will flush everything in your body will go away that you needed. So,
Wow.
distilled water use it, but I don't unless have to because it's not good.
It isn't.
So I go, like I said, I put the sauna suit on. This is 36 hours before, and then if it's a good day or a good cut, I could be done in 13 hours, a pound an hour basically, and
Hmm.
then I wait. You weigh in, and then this is actually probably the most dangerous part because I've overloaded myself and then depleted myself completely. Your body goes into shock, whether you feel it or not. Your body goes into shock. You cannot.
Oh, that would.
If it's just like if you go to the desert or you go on a long hike and you're dehydrated and you
Hmm.
decide when you get home or when you get to a gallon of water, I'm going to down this gallon of water. The first thing that will happen to you is you will get a headache. The second
Yep.
thing, you will start sweating like you have never sweat before, and then your stomach will cramp. That is because your body cannot handle that much uh, fluids and do something with it, so it shocks itself. Um, so I get to be thirsty after I weigh in. I get to be thirsty and sip stuff. I
Right.
usually make some kind of weird concoction, water with strawberries and banana. I mix everything you can into this because I need as many minerals. I
Probiotics.
need everything, and most of the time, within that 18 to 24 hours until it's time to go, I usually do feel fine. I know I'm not that's at 100% because you're always like, oh, I feel kind of heavy because I just ate something, or man, I'm feeling kind of weird, thirsty because my body doesn't react to drinking regular water after I've weighed in. It's the whole process is ridiculous, and I know it, but
But you
I
love
do it
your you
anyway.
love it though, right? You love what you
Uh,
do.
yeah, exactly.
Yep.
It's kind of like when you
And we were talking
fly.
about
You
ice
don't.
chips too. Huh? What?
I was gonna say it's like kind of like when you fly, like you love to fly, but do you really want to be doing pre-checks? So,
No, that's the thing, right? With flying too, I get really bad headaches and stuff like that. All that decompression all the time.
mm,
But when we were talking about ice chips, and this is real important if any women are listening that are pregnant, because when you're in labor, they have you eat ice chips, right? And that's the worst thing to do because it causes cramps.
mm,
It
yep.
causes really like
'Cause
and it's bad for you to eat ice
it tricks your
chips.
body into thinking you're getting fluids, and your body starts acting like you're taking in fluids, but when it realizes you're not, you're taking in good enough amount, your body starts reacting
Hmm.
to it. It starts
Yeah,
trying to
and
find it,
it that's right, and it creates gas and not good gas.
and it cramps,
You
get
know.
cramps, and believe it, fluids are more important than food, people. It's hard to believe, but it really is. You can have all the food in the world if you're not getting any fluid or hydration, you will dehydrate and you will die. Along without food, but you can't without fluids.
Hmm. Definitely. Definitely. And yeah, the water thing. I really am glad we're talking about it because, people don't realize how important water is in many ways, and having the good intention like it that I don't know if anybody's aware of the experiments and stuff that what was his name? Moto? Wait a minute. Let me just look up his name quick so I get it right. I don't want to give any misinformation here on your show.
Why not? I do all the time.
So I heard. No, just kidding. Uh, Masaru Emoto. Did you ever hear of him?
Is that the guy that does a lot of the talks about volcanoes and Yosemite and all that stuff?
No, this guy did these water where he would do total. Here, I'll give you a link. He shows how water creates. I mean, emotions change water.
Mm.
Like he proved it, and then we also did the same experiments. I belong to a group called Unfuckers, and we've done these same experiments that he talks about giving positive intent to water and how much it changes it. It's really really interesting. Um, so anytime, and it sounds corny, but anytime before I drink my water, I totally tell my water I love it, or or send positive vibrations to it, positive thoughts, because your thought changes the water. So it's a really short video if you've never seen it.
I'll definitely check it out because I do the same thing when I eat bacon.
I love you, bacon.
Yeah, so good.
You're funny. But the video is short if you want to check it out or even share it. What he does
Yeah.
is he does all these intentions to the water, and and it's so incredible when he thinks or even writes the word hate, or how much it changes,
I
right?
definitely want to check that out.
Oh, it's incredible. And it's all true. Like this is the stuff that it's not, this ain't a theory. This ain't none of that bullshit. This is a real experiments that he's been doing. And then, so since this has been out for quite a while, how he's done this, a lot of people have been doing this, and people have been praying positive prayers, whatever, however they want
Mm.
to do it, towards their lakes in their communities. And their lakes have been cleaning themselves because of it. Imagine what that does to your body when you hate somebody or you are always negative and all the shit. How much that water is changing inside your body.
That's yeah. If it does it in a glass, it definitely has to be do it in your
Mm,
body for sure.
definitely. Yeah, it's really cool. Hang on just a second.
Yeah, it's yeah. Once when I started doing all the weight cutting and all that stuff, I that's when I really started getting into what it takes to actually do it and what I'm doing to myself doing it. And that's when I learned about distilled water. Just it's doing it's just tricking you guys, it's making you think you're good, but it's not good for you at all. And it's definitely in the long run type of thing too. It doesn't not just because you drink one bottle of it, you're gonna all of a sudden feel it. Like it it will just basically make your body crash.
Yeah, I'll share that in the link with people too,
Yes,
about the
thank you.
water. Because, when you watch that, Sean, it'll change everything the way you think about water. And then also water has memory. So like with my mom, when we were, ever since we were little kids, and we go through our it's called grandmother's teachings that we do. When you want to remember something, just
Hmm.
immerse your hands in water,
Really?
and all of a sudden you'll remember. Yeah, because the water holds memory. So you figure the memory in your own cells in your body, that water is gonna collect it. And it sounds really, bizarre, but you know what isn't bizarre anymore?
Exactly. Yeah.
you know
Every other day we learn something new that was bizarre 2 days before.
Exactly. But when you see this, when you look at that video, it's only short, it's only a couple minutes. It shows you, he has examples of everything he did with each one of these, um, all these different crystallizing the water. See, that's how I did it, and we did it with our group, is we would
Mhm.
crystallize it so that we know which one, like, so you could see it better, right, under a microscope.
Yeah.
And it's so true. It's so, when you see it for yourself, I mean, watching his video is awesome,
Yeah.
but when you do the experiment for yourself, then you start have to question, you have to mind what you think. Your parents always say that, or other people's parents, whatever, always heard, mind what you think. Be
Mm.
mindful. Be mindful what you're thinking, right? Changes everything. That might even help when you're working out, when you're doing your weight stuff,
Mm.
thinking
Yeah,
positive
definitely.
thoughts.
And it's better than using a rubber band because that hurts after a while, and it's never
He
helped.
did the same thing with rubber bands on his
I'm just
wrist. He
saying,
was like
it's all of a
flicking
sudden
it
it
all
just
the
starts hurting, and you just remember, I'm not gonna forget because that hurts. I don't want to keep doing that.
time. right? When you really don't have to.
Yeah, exactly.
You can, and our mind is such a powerful tool, and a lot of the I don't know what you call it, maybe Western society or whatever, that they took people away from this special thing that we could do, you know, healing ourselves by positive thought. I've seen it happen. I've seen people that were really sick that they were like, oh, this is their, final shit, like tumors and whatever. Actually, the tumors went away because they were picturing their body without it
Hmm.
and just
Or
picturing their body being healthy.
almost the exact opposite, where they're so down on it and so negative about it that it just overwhelms them.
Yeah. Yeah. Make them sicker. Mr. Grimm said, I made it.
Yeah, yeah. Man, I want to watch that video. I want to figure that out because there's so
Oh,
much.
you have to watch it.
There's
It makes so much sense. You think about all the things in history, and I'm not a Bible pounder, but I do notice things.
Yeah,
Water was such a big deal in the Bible, and nobody did it. Nobody says anything about it. No one says, these people were manipulating water, and nobody talks about that part.
yeah. I don't really know too much about it
Splitting the
to.
sea. Okay, well, the basic ones, right? Splitting the Red Sea, stuff like that.
Mm,
Um, Changing water into wine, healing with the water, putting the water on Jesus's feet. Like I said, I'm not a Bible thumper or nothing, but I do. When it came to the water part, I did pay attention to that.
mm,
Because with my culture, as you know, all native cultures, we are very, very strong advocates of having clean water in
yeah,
this earth. We stopped fracking here where I live.
I hope
You
so.
know,
That's
we did where we live. We did it. We stopped them, and it's all about sticking it out. You have to stick it out
mm,
as long as you can. Hang on just a second. Sorry.
no worries at all. Yeah, it's especially when it comes to fracking. It amazes me that we know how dangerous and the effects fracking does, and yet we're still doing it. Um, I mean, they're literally producing man-made tectonic plates, basically man-made earthquakes.
Yes.
Um,
Oh my God. Yes.
yeah, they are.
It changes a lot of shit.
Oh yeah, the water
Sorry.
table. Ah, no worries. Yeah, yeah. Fracking changes water tables, or better yet, makes it so things can actually penetrate the water table, and that's why I like Flint. Is I mean, man, it's like you might as well be running gasoline through their water lines. Um, yeah, fracking by far is probably one of the most dangerous things, and they still keep finding reasons to be able to do it or justifying the reasons they're using it. Yeah, it's amazing what companies are still able to get away with. Um, I'm still surprised that they're dredging, out in the ocean. Because as far as I'm concerned, I mean that's even worse. Back in the day, my father used to do dredging, out in harbors and stuff, and he said like the ocean's floors, like they move differently than everything else, and to think that you could tap into an oil line with a pipe and it go through three different medians and not expect it to snap. It's insane.
Okay. Sorry. I was just had to mute for a second. Um,
No worries.
well, what fracking, you got to realize that Mother Earth, that's her veins. The water is her veins, and this is the whole reason why we're so protective over it, right? We
Hmm.
are called the water keepers, stuff like that.
Hmm.
Hang on just a second.
No worries.
I'm babysitting, as you could tell.
Hey, if everyone doesn't like a screaming kid, that's your guys' problem. I have a son. He did it. If you guys kids, they all do it. So no worries at all.
You should share that video with people watching.
All right.
Then that way, you know what I mean, and then we could discuss it, because I'm glad this ended up being about water, because I've been talking recently to like my chat room and Discord about, I want to do a stream just about water,
Mm-hmm.
because it's everywhere, right? People don't think it's that important, I think. They could flash somebody $10,000 and say, "Can I frack in your yard?" And they'll be like, "Ooh, $10,000? Yeah, I'll do it." Not realizing what they're fucking doing. You know,
Yeah.
uh, you look at some of those videos with fracking. After fracking went through people's town, they're lighting their water on fire right out of their taps.
Yeah. Yeah. And I was just saying that a minute ago. It's amazing that they're still allowed to do it.
Yeah, but it's the government. Like, it was the government. You know what? It was so ridiculous. I mean, you could look it up online. There's all kinds of pictures and stuff about when it was here, when they were trying to do it here, and we stopped it. They had a squad, the SWAT team, dressed in full fucking gear, and in front of them is a line of elderly ladies. And it's just, and they beat up women. And of course they didn't show this stuff on the news, but you know what?
Oh,
We
of course
recorded
not.
every freaking minute. We recorded everything, like how they were treating us. Um, and it alls we had, and you see, there's this one picture of my cousin that went viral, and she's kneeling in front of this SWAT team, and all she's holding up is an eagle feather, and they all
Yeah.
have their guns and shit standing in front of her.
That is
And that went
crazy.
freaking, oh yeah, it went viral. And then you see like pictures of little kids walking up to these guys and giving them bottles of water, and they're standing there basically manhandling these unarmed people. But at the end of the day, because we got certain people involved, certain celebrities, like with me, Adam Sandler, I got him to do something for me. I had him do a sign saying he supported us, and that made a difference.
That's cool.
So he's holding up the sign. Yeah, I'll show you. It's pretty cool. Him and my friend Frankie Ray, who's another actor, he's actually a lot of Michael Jackson videos. But yeah, they did that for me. And you have to get certain people involved, even if they're not here. It's
Yeah.
just having somebody else giving out that awareness all over the place that this is so bad for us. Obama did know, and he did stop it. But look, as soon as Trump got in there, that's the first thing he did, was allow it,
Yeah.
because it's 2,500 jobs, and that was his reason to do it. Oh, that's 2,500 new jobs. Yeah, well, you know what? That's millions of people you're hurting. You know,
Yeah. I think a lot of the ranchers up there had to up and quit. I think they got like dust bowls up there now because they can't even get water to their cows, can't water their crops and everything up there.
right?
Yeah.
Here, I'll mute mine so that everyone can see that what you're doing.
Okay. Yeah. I'm gonna
Into
go ahead and we'll play this real quick.
Yeah. Thanks, John.
Yeah. No problem. Hey, Graham, go ahead and check your messages.
That's incredible stuff, huh, Sean?
Yes, yes. Thank you for sharing that with us. That was
You're
actually a really good.
welcome. Yep. See that other
Go
one
ahead and
too. Not
think.
right now, but sometime. Watch that water has memory one. It's incredible. Like all the stuff that I've been taught since I was little. Um, it's so beautiful to see it done in this way for people to learn, right? Because everybody has social media. So all
Yep.
this stuff can be out there now and people can do this and help where we live. Like people treat our earth like we have somewhere else to fucking go.
Yeah, exactly. I can.
You know what I mean?
It may be a very big place, but it is very small when you really look at the big picture.
Yeah, because water's always on the move, right?
Yep, always, always, always. And if it's not, it's very bad.
Yeah, exactly.
Hey, Grim, I would, blah, 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 blah. I sent out an invite to you. I'm not sure if it's in your which mailbox it would be in, but it is somewhere there for you.
Nicholas Mars, duh.
Welcome back, man.
I don't know what he said that for.
That's how he rolls.
Yeah, he's so silly. Hi, Graham.
Hi, how are you guys doing?
Great.
Hey,
How are
what's up,
you?
Grim? How you doing, buddy?
Chilling, chilling, chilling. Good
So it's
subject.
good to have a mind like yours in here as
So
well,
cute.
because
I love your avatar.
You never get to see it in YouTube, only in the Hangouts the way it does this.
yeah,
So cute.
only a select few gets to see it.
Yeah.
Right?
Please don't throw me
Oh,
in
really?
the briar patch.
Oh.
Yeah, because it doesn't move on the YouTube side. It only does its little walk in here. So if you're in
Oh,
here, you get to
wow.
see it.
Oh, yeah, it just stays there.
Yeah.
It's funny.
Yeah, do you have anything to add? Look, I know you know a lot about it, a
Oh,
lot
the
about this
water
kind of stuff
stuff.
too. Yeah.
That there was a real experiment done on it. That was an ad hoc, but it's the same sort of idea. There's
Mhm.
the real experiment done on it with what he was. I mean, not a real. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I didn't
a
mean,
I was
scientific.
gonna
I
say
didn't
that
mean to.
was real.
I didn't mean.
We've also done that experiment.
Yeah, I was gonna say I didn't
Grim.
mean that wasn't a real experiment. I just meant that you know, the video didn't show it to where we could go, oh, it was just a video, a guy anecdotally saying something. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not saying it isn't true because it is true, but I mean,
Right.
uh, there's a
I've
better,
met this man.
Well,
yeah,
if anything,
I met him in
that
Montreal.
video
his
is
own
more of
video
like
has
a
better video.
introduction.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that yeah, he has a huge, like, it's a big thing. That's just, I like that because it's short and it gets right to the point, right?
Yeah,
That's why I like that little video. But yeah.
but there's more to it than that because the EM fields and stuff actually alter the snowflakes, and snowflakes don't come out the same anyway normally. Uh, as far as like the same shapes and stuff like that,
Yeah,
because
no same
they
pattern, right?
yeah they follow like three simple rules, but those three simple rules start to get look like some sort of divine intelligent design at some
Hmm.
point.
I live in Canada. I get it.
But my point with that is a lot of people think, oh, that a lot of these like things that we see, that must be intelligent design, because I mean, how else could it be formed and all of this? But if you look up cellular autonomy, I mean, it's not to do with cells, it's to do with computer structure and code, really. And it's really three simple rules repeated over and over and over again, right? And it starts to make this simplistic pattern, and then all of a sudden something strange happens. The same simple three rules but then it just starts to become looking like, instead of a simple pattern, takes on this organic life to it, like this I mean, really starts to look just. I can't even explain it without just showing you, the actual, programs in the the cellular autonomies themselves, because you can't explain it. It's seems so intelligent, it seems so divine, and it's three simple rules repeated over and over and over again until finally blah blah, and that's what I'm trying to say is like the physics in the universe and shit and all of this metaphysics and everything is really three, four simple rules repeated over and over again, you know, and until these complex divinities occur. And I look for, well, how could that be possible? This is how I think. We're just talking about my opinion here, basically, now at this point.
Go for it.
And I think, how can that be possible, right? I mean, there must be a fundamental common denominator of, a physics rule that applies to all things everywhere at all times, right? And so you start thinking at all times, everywhere, at all times. This starts sounding like the Omega and shit, right? You know what I mean? It starts to make you think that instead of it being about an old man in the sky, it was really about physics, the whole thing. And it was allegory with personification about cosmology and all kinds of physics and all kinds of interesting semantics and sound, vibratory resonance, all kinds of interesting things that are in these secretly laid out within the historical text, or I wouldn't even say historical text because they're allegorical and all of that, but the biblical type text, the old religious type, all stuff. So, I don't know where to go with that.
What do you think? Okay. What do you think of distilled water?
It's 6.98 or something on the pH scale, which is the same as your blood. So it's perfect.
I completely disagree, but it being the same being the same consistency as your blood or having the same pH it actually pulls everything from you. I mean, there's not one
not the
effective
organic
mineral in it.
No, for sure, no. It pulls the stuff that your body doesn't add a charge to, stuff that your body's not going to be using, stuff that's not like charged to your body. So it's pulling away the heavy metals and toxins, not the good minerals and bio minerals and stuff like that. This is a also scientific fact, Sean.
Oh yeah, but it's not
true. They heard the old wives' tale that you don't get your minerals and stuff from and chelates your minerals. No, it chelates minerals that are not bio. What do you call it? You can't process them. They're not attached to the proper enzymes and things like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's that. I understand that part as the flesh, but it's also not. It's not hydrating you. It's not giving your body the essential minerals that it would usually use from water.
Wait a minute. You don't. Wait a minute. That's not true at all. I mean, I only drink distilled water for the past 10 years, and I'm one of the healthiest guys you're going to meet for my age. It's not that at all. I get my minerals and everything like that from the fruits and vegetables that I eat. I don't need to add it to my water. Matter of fact, when you add things to the water, the more still the water is, the less of a job of pulling impurities out of your body that it can do. It has less of an ability to act as a sponge. Think of it as a sponge that takes out bad stuff from your body. Look, you know what's in fruits and vegetables?
It also takes out good
distilled
stuff,
water.
though.
You know what's in all the plants and stuff that we eat? Distilled water. You know what's in your blood? Distilled water.
Well, how is it distilled water if there's the minerals from the plants?
From the sky, it's not distilled when it's coming from the sky.
I mean, there's still distilled water. All the minerals are pulled out of it.
It only collects whatever it collects on the way down, but it is distilled when it's in the cloud.
But then it's the minerals that are in regular water, clean water, or any kind of water that's filtered, it still has minerals in it. But once you get distilled water, it doesn't have any of the minerals.
It's really
it's almost like dead water.
When people hold it, it's like you're holding an idea about it, but the idea is misled because I've looked into it like on a very deep level, you know. So there really is the best benefits from distilled water.
When you say you're I guess you're eating fruits, vegetables, are you on fruit, vegetable only, or
No,
you eat meat
no.
and
I
everything?
eat meat. Yeah,
I
I
think
just
you're
eat it.
healthy
I
because of the
make it
fruits you're
lightweight
eating, not
meat.
because of the water.
I eat like a paleo diet. You know, fruits,
Okay, okay.
nuts, vegetables, meat, no cheese really, no wheat.
Okay, well,
Shit like that.
I'm not gonna lie to you guys. I try to avoid vegetables and fruits because I'm a meat eater, and
You need both. You need both,
I
man.
don't
If you
exactly eat the healthiest.
you better start.
Yeah, no, definitely.
You know how
But
this
I then that's probably why because
number
when
one reason why
all my
everyone
views
dies
of
of
distilled water is
how's
because of how I feel when I drink distilled water. But maybe that's why when I'm drinking distilled water, it does flush me, and it does, it does leave me feeling dehydrated still.
yeah, because you have a problem with your diet. You're not eating properly. That's
Oh
nothing to do with
well,
your water. You're not supposed to be trying to get your minerals and shit from your water. I mean, because for two
No,
reasons.
but he
The
only does that. He
first
only
is
does
when
that
they
once in
add
a while.
minerals to water. Hold on, just a second. When they add the minerals to the
Sorry.
water, that's okay. I'll forget. I swear. I'm smoking weed right now. If you add minerals to the water, you're not your body can't use those minerals anyway. It doesn't even use them. They build up and get clogged up in your organs and shit where you don't
well,
need
I'm not adding anything to
water,
it, but
stone.
whatever you get from regular water, um, anything that's not distilled basically is what I'm drinking. I don't use those those additives, mineral or flavor crap. I don't do any of that. I know that stuff that's just bad.
Also, it's very interesting, Sean. Is
You do.
we talked about this recently in our chat. How you should be eating for your blood type. Glow had just
I don't
mentioned
even.
it in chat. That's why I brought it up. Is because it's like there's this chart for your
You
certain
want to know
blood
how
type.
sad this is? The only time I know my blood type is when I go to the hospital to fix the injury.
That's
And the
horrible.
doctor says it. I'm like, oh yeah, that's what I am.
Oh my god. Well, maybe it's a good time to start paying attention.
Mate,
Because also people with certain blood types, they crave certain foods
Yeah, but
for
no
their
matter
blood
what
type.
blood type you are, you got to eat some plants. That's the
well,
main. That's the main way to
I know.
keep your flora
I under.
in your
I
gut
understand.
alive. Yeah, you'll kill
Yeah.
them if you only eat meat. You kill your gut flora and or your fauna and or flora, and
Hmm.
so you're not producing the proper. Your body, your body's regulating GC maths and your vitamin D's and things like that. You're not going to be able to make properly because you don't have the proper microorganisms in your intestines. You gotta
Right.
you gotta eat
To fight shit
probiotics,
off.
bro. Yeah,
I, which brings it to a really good point. So vegans, um,
Excuse me.
I know a couple of vegans that fight, and they basically are constantly striving to keep their like they have the energy and the stamina now, but it took them months to get anywhere near where they were before they went vegan. Um, and I, from what I've heard, not really doing too much real, research like deep into it. But isn't that kind
it's
of
dumb.
isn't it kind of like a fake muscle
It's
as
dumb. Here's what. Here's my opinion on that. Since I'm not a really, not a nutritionalist or a doctor, but my opinion is that humans by nature are are kind of addicted to dichotomies. Like they like to pick left or right. There's never anything in the middle to them for some reason. It's a team. Am I right or am I wrong? Right. So vegan or meat, one or the other instead of both. They never think, oh, I need both. Oh, I'm not supposed to be a vegan, hate all the meat eaters. I'm supposed to be, eat some vegetables and have a little meat here and there
hey,
kind of guy.
when I have a hamburger, I leave the lettuce and tomato in it sometimes.
Yeah, me too. Shit. I always take out the tomato though, just so you know. And if I really want to get down on my greens, I ask them for some extra pickles.
I could eat pickles. Those are
I'm
good.
just trying to ride with you on that one, but still. I used to order my burgers. See, dude, I'm really the opposite of what I was when I was, I don't know, in my 30s. You know, so I was like, oh, I can't eat those nasty vegetables. Then all of a sudden, my joints started
Can I ask
really
you guys
bothering me.
something?
I mean, yeah,
Yep.
I talked to him.
What's the difference between a vegan and a vegetarian?
Hell if I know.
One doesn't eat something with
eggs and
eyes
milk
or
I
and
something.
think I think vegans eat dairy, will eat like certain
Yeah.
dairies or something like that. Not
yeah,
really
one of
sure.
them
Don't get me laugh.
eat eggs and milk and chicken occasionally, and then the other ones.
Oh, that's the other thing. People, let me explain something. Eggs. When you eat an egg, you are not eating a little baby chicken. It does
Oh
not
my god,
work
that's so
that
funny when
way.
people say that. Hey,
Oh, I
yeah.
was listening to a stream the other day and they were talking about it. Just listen. It's not. It's not fertilized. It's not a baby chicken ever. It's not even
Well,
It's
close.
I've
just
cracked
it's
open
just a
some
big
bloody
cell.
eggs before, man. I got
Dude, I don't know where you're getting
Get
them.
them a day. Well, yeah, that's the thing. I got chickens and roosters.
Well, if I was into witchcraft, I
Oh,
would
okay.
just no.
You're supposed to be separating them, Graham.
Yeah. Well, you do got to mate them occasionally, though.
Oh, you need
That
more
rooster
chicken.
have a reason to live, man. Otherwise, he'll start banging his head on the fucking gate and shit. He needs a
Yeah.
You hear him at fucking like 2 in the morning.
Yes, hey, that is very true.
Yeah.
A buddy of
Yeah.
mine that lives out in like in the sticks and stuff, he has them. And he says the exact thing. He says his roosters they do that throughout the day and night because they're
All they wanna do.
constantly looking for a mate.
Hump. That's all they ever want to do. If you got a small
sorry.
puppies around or anything,
Like this.
and a rooster feels like he can dominate,
Wait.
he will.
That is not true, Project Frequency. Project Frequency.
Oh.
What you're saying, okay, if there's anybody that gets grossed out by the woman anatomy, then you should probably mute your sound right,
All right.
now. Project.
Or you shouldn't be on.
When you with those eggs that you buy at the store, it's kind of like a period. That egg never had a chance to be something.
making room, just making some more room, keeping things
Yeah.
clean.
Chickens lay eggs. Not they do every day, but I think they have a couple off days. But they'll lay eggs every day, and those eggs are not fertile
Why do you
whatsoever.
think chickens are such hens?
Why? That's why there's not 1,000 elementary kids with chickens right now. Because if it did work that way, they'd all have an egg and they all try to hatch it.
I did that one time as a little kid. I remember taking an egg until it turned rotten out of the fridge and trying to warm it up.
Oh, jeez.
Well, shit, what was I, fucking 4 or something? So the whole concept was there, like incubating it and caring for it. It just started
Mhm.
stinking through the shell one day.
But I get what you're saying, Project. But man, you can't. If you say it like that, that's why people believe that. when you say it like you did, Project, that's exactly why people are like, I can't eat an egg. I mean, for me, it doesn't really matter because I like eggs with my bacon.
Well, I noticed that I had those sharp teeth on the side and those meat tear type teeth. So I knew
Yep.
that my body was
Yeah,
designed to
incisors.
eat that stuff. And I saw that I also had some, herbivore teeth in the back that it was also designed to grind on, some vegetables and stuff. So I figured, yeah, well, I better eat both since I'm designed to eat both.
Good point. Good point.
Fuck it.
Right.
Right. And you know how it goes. It usually,
Yeah, I love meat.
if you think about
I
it,
tear right into that.
That's me. Yeah, I couldn't. Yeah, if all my teeth were like my molars, then I get it.
Mhm.
exactly. If I was had a teeth like a cow, I'd definitely eat rat. I
No.
had double stomachs, 2 stomachs and shit like that, right?
Right.
I'd be chomping on grass and things and such.
Yeah, and in the chat, In the chat, Nick says, what's in milk? Actually, milk is not good for you. Oh,
Yeah, I
Cow's
don't.
milk ain't
milk
good
is
for you. You're,
okay.
cow milk
Nah, it
is
ain't.
made to make a little tiny cow get big.
Not anymore. It ain't good for you because it's dead. They
Yeah,
pasture,
it's not. Yeah,
kill it.
exactly. It's not real milk.
It's not real.
Actually, uh,
They have like 5 or 8%
Boys.
pus is allowed. That's a lot of
actually,
pus.
if you want to have milk that is actually good and good for you, and it's been tested, it's not. If the FDA won't sanction it, so you'll never see it at a store. You'll never see it
Yeah, but
sold out like that. There's a camel farm in Ramona, where down a few miles from where I live. Camel milk is actually extremely good for you,
I'm throwing up a little bit.
Gross.
dude. I know. Okay. Well, hey, do
You
you
like
eat
suck it off the
peas and
top of the hump
broccoli?
or what? Where do you milk a camel from?
Grim, you like peas and
It's so
broccoli,
funny.
Grim? Because that's what that stuff does to me.
Oh,
But it
Oh,
is it
gosh,
is. I'm
guys.
telling you. Look, hey, I know you're gonna look it up eventually, but look it up, Grim.
no, I
Y'all
It,
know
need to
all
it
just
about
read
it,
some
dude.
what nurses
for the human
real
body,
milk.
it is actually good for the body.
I already know all about it. It's full of probiotics and things. So is cow
Mm-hmm.
milk actually. But see, they kill cow milk. So what they're testing is killed cow milk against non-killed camel milk. And it's like, you know what I mean? It's like you're getting the same properties from the non-killed cow milk too. But you don't get to test that shit anymore. I mean, you can, but I mean, I can't believe it's a federal offense to sell.
Well, yeah, exactly. You can't not that at
It's a
all.
federal offense for what? To drink
Can't
what?
sell.
Yeah, the
No,
feds kicking in farmers' doors and shit and arresting them at gunpoint
you
for
can
selling
drink it.
milk.
You just can't sell it
For
at all.
what? For
For
selling
selling
milk?
milk. Yes,
camel milk.
without pasteurizing, without killing all the
Wow.
microbes. You want to know why? I know something I
Yeah, I
realized.
do.
All right, this is my opinion, but again, it's really worth a lot if you think about it. If you listen to some of the shit I talk about. So when I get on these little ideas, they're sometimes worth following up on. But all right, pleomorphism in the blood. Anton Beauchamp. He almost 100 years ago showed us that the blood goes through different stages from species to species till it reaches its smallest point, breaking itself down to the somatid, which he called the protos microzymissymatis, right?
Which is
People call it virus nowadays.
uh,
In some cases, when it's broken down through different mediums that turn it to a parasitic form. Right. See, this is the thing. Depending on the medium is depending on how it breaks down, or to also how it comes back to life, so to speak. This is what gets weird. So what you think is dead is really just waiting for an electrical magnetic field to be presented around it to bring it back to life, so it can start to feed on the medium.
okay. It's just like a dead animal,
So it's dead in a virus, but then in the container, but inside your body, it comes back to life. They sell you a lie with these vaccines and shit, right? They're giving you these viruses and attenuated viruses and whatnot.
Yeah.
So the whole idea behind that is in the live milk, you can actually take through a microscope and you can watch the sterile live milk go through all of those stages, which is supposed to be something that was disproved by Louis Pasteur, pasteurizing the milk. Louis Pasteur, right?
But
So-
then I have a question for you on that.
Yeah.
If they say you were allowed, or say they only had fresh milk, wouldn't fresh milk be $40 a gallon?
I have no idea. To who? I mean,
Because
Breast milk?
because when
pour it out. I mean, you know how much milk drips out of your cow's tit when it's just hanging around?
yeah, but the reason they say they pasteurize it mainly is for it to last. Because otherwise, pure milk from a cow only lasts a couple days.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
Yeah,
Unless,
but you have to realize milk
unless
from the
hold on,
cow.
put some colloidal silver in it. It's the reason why milk curdles and goes bad is because a particular bacteria starts to form. That's the decay process. Well, if you stop that bacteria being able to live it out its process. It stops at that stage where it is, because it cannot change as a bacteria into another form with the colloidal silver present. So it doesn't go bad. Like I've left milk out for 2 days just to prove a point, that
But
it doesn't go bad with the colloidal
the
silver.
problem is because you're putting in the whatever it is. There you go. Because you're adding that, because you're adding that, you're now adding the value to it, which means someone had to put it there, which means now the price goes up.
I'm talking about for personal people, like not for sale, but like, and colloidal silver is hella cheap, by the way. But
okay.
Yeah, I make my own. I've got 2 rods of silver that I've been using for about 4 or 5 years now, and I just keep using the same ones that you don't need to.
Well, Lou Awake is a really good friend of mine. He's in chat, and he was saying that we are not meant to eat meat. Get him in the panel and let him explain himself, because it'd be good to have. We have 3 meat eaters sitting here on this panel. We need to balance this shit out.
Louis Awake?
Lou Awake, yeah. He's a really good friend of mine. Today was about cow's milk. That milk is made for a little cow to get humongous, to be a big cow, that I can understand why people talk about that. We should not drink that. I'm allergic to milk, and I'm not lactose intolerant. I'm allergic. I mean, if I touch it, I get hives. So I've never had that opportunity to have a little sip,
You're not missing nothing.
I'm missing ice cream and cheese.
You can get non-dairy ice cream and stuff.
Okay, so I want you to get it, and then tell me if it tastes like whatever, and then I'll buy it. I don't like fake things, because I get freaked out when something's fake, right?
Marlena, I'm good. I can eat ice cream.
Yes. I'm not trying it. Just say you're not trying it, man. Oh my god. It's so funny. Like, this is so controversial, eh? When you talk about milk, how dairy, there's so many different opinions. My personal one, maybe because I've never drank it, but when someone tells me, the cow's milk does, it has all these stuff in it just to make a little tiny calf turn into a huge cow. That makes sense to me. Why a human shouldn't drink it, When you see people that are constant ice cream eaters and dairy eaters, they're quite big. I mean, I'm sorry for anybody if I'm pissing anybody off, but it's true. My mother always told us, don't eat anything white. So you don't eat milk. You don't. I'm not talking about women. Okay, so it's what milk crushes sugar. Forget it.
That's awesome right there.
Hi, Lou.
Hi.
Hey, how you doing?
How are you, honey?
Right,
I'm so glad you made it. We need somebody that with a different opinion besides our own.
Yeah, I don't.
Especially you live.
I never come on to hang out, so this is rather unusual.
Well, awesome.
No,
I
not
know,
often.
I'm glad you
come on
never. Never. So yeah, this is a first. Yeah, you guys are going for it with this meat malarkey and all this. We're made to eat meat. We're not made to eat meat at all. Sorry.
Well, what about the canine teeth? They're
not designed for meat. They're actually designed to break down nuts and grains and stuff like that.
Isn't that what the molars are for, though? I mean.
No, I mean your molars are also help with that, but this is a way to look at it.
And I gotta say,
do you like
really
chicken?
good.
Do you like chicken?
Yes.
Okay, grab a live chicken, bite into it. Tell me you can eat it.
Yeah, I've eaten.
That's what a meat eater does.
I've eaten uncooked organs after like a hunt or something.
No, he's talking about taking a chicken itself and bite into it. It's I mean. I get where you're coming from, Lou.
Yeah, eat
I
like
eat
that
sushi all the time, man. I don't have a problem
because we're not really designed for that. We're
Why not?
really
I eat
not.
sushi all the time and it does fine.
Yeah, but sushi, you're
What
having
about
to have it
fish?
prepared and everything like that.
That's
You know,
true.
I
Well,
mean,
because I've
don't get
been
me wrong.
culturally taught to like those spices, and that spices actually
Be
have
kind.
nutritional value to them as well.
Yeah, there's nutrition.
On
There's
everything.
nutrition from that. There's nutrition from meat. There's, and all of that. But you got to ask yourself, where did the meat get that nutrition?
Where do we get our big brains from if not for eating meat as humans when we evolve?
Oh, that's a tricky subject. That
Yeah, well,
evolution.
there's a lot of studies on it. This is why I say when I research
Mm,
it, I don't just research it off of like some old random, you know what I mean, like a
yeah.
vegan's channel or a meat eater's channel or whatever. I
Mhm.
go to like the studies that have been done on this that people try to draw their ideas from or whatnot, and or some
Yeah.
people don't even know that these studies exist. So it's probably a
Yeah.
good idea to check them out. I gave you a link there. Um, Humans do need to eat meat, not only meat, of course, right?
I was a meat eater all
It's
my life.
because of well, think about it without a refrigerator and without
Hmm.
a grocery store for a second.
Hmm.
As humans,
Yeah.
just a couple hundred years ago, a year, 100 years ago for most, right? So think of it like this: you're not able to eat vegetables all year round at every location because there aren't vegetables all year round at every location, but there is meat.
Hmm. Yeah,
There
I
you
get
go.
that. Yeah, I mean, I get your point. I
Hence why
mean,
we were meat eaters.
up until this time last year, I was exactly where you are. I was exactly there.
Don't belittle me.
All right. No, I'm not belittling you.
What now?
I'm just telling you it like it is. This time last year, I was a full-on meat eater. You told me I was gonna, the next year I wasn't gonna
I'm not a
be.
full-on meat eater. I'm a paleo.
But
I eat fruits and vegetables and meat.
Mhm.
now, Lou, are you having to supplement for protein or
No,
taking any kind of supplements?
none at all.
Does.
No,
Zero.
Not
no.
as an adult,
Zero.
no,
Now,
because he's already developed his bones and brain for the
now I'm
most
not sure
part.
if how long you were in the chat, but like I do a lot of combat sports and everything, and I know a few guys that don't eat meat. Do you have like a high input athletic lifestyle or anything like that?
Um, right. Just this week alone. I mean, this weekend. I haven't done anything the last couple of days, but I've done 31-mile bike rides.
Okay.
The day before that, I done a 10-mile walk. Day before that, I done a 12-mile walk. So yeah, I mean, I'm
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, you are. Okay. Yeah.
fairly
That's because
active.
He's very
that's
healthy.
my biggest. That's like my
Yeah.
biggest question I have with it because I know a couple guys that are vegans, and
Hmm.
now they've got to that point where they feel better again, but
Hmm.
they said there was like 2 3 months where they couldn't catch their breath, had zero stamina,
Yeah.
and to me that just seems that if you're not, especially in that situation where you're constant output, that the protein is what keeps the muscle fatigue from happening.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, did you ever see the
You're
difference?
gonna
Did you ever see
laugh.
the
Yeah. Go on.
you ever see the before and after pictures of Vegan Warrior when he became
I
vegan?
I have
My
not.
goodness, you would. Oh my gosh! Next time,
Yeah.
you know what? I'm gonna have to get a picture for you. The difference is incredible. He looks like uh, is like 20 years younger, and I'm not even kidding when I say that. You know. Anyway, go ahead, Lou. I'm sorry. I just had to throw that in
No.
there.
It's good.
I'm gonna find this picture.
It's a vegan diet, like a vegetarian diet, like any diet at all. It's all about getting the right thing, getting the right balance for what you are doing. So obviously, it's quite easy, even as a vegan, to eat crap. You know,
Yeah.
it's really, really easy. Which is why you get fat vegans and vegans that run out of energy because they're doing things the way they're doing it. I've gone a bit more extreme with my diet. But I don't have
What
any
do you mean?
energy issues at all.
Okay. Did you when you
Glow
when you
wants to know what blood type you are, Lou.
I'm
Sorry, Sean.
no worries, no
I'm
worries.
O, blood type O positive, I think, or negative, one or the other. But blood type's O. Just can't remember
Oh,
if
okay,
it's
cool.
neg or positive. But yeah, I don't have energy problems at all.
Okay.
When I finished my 31-mile ride, I could have gone another 31 miles. You know,
Okay.
really, like I do not get tired at all, no matter what I do.
Okay, yeah, I see what you're saying. Yeah, because I've heard also people say, I eat a lot of meat and I get sluggish. Um,
Mhm.
for me, it's usually, on your meat, because because the portions I eat and when I eat it, I almost feel like it gives me the energy, and
Mm.
that's my main concern about even thinking to go vegan. It's like at certain points where I feel much stronger, and you know what I mean. My recoveries feel better.
I am the strongest, fittest, lightest, yet strong, and lightest I've ever been in my whole entire life. And I wish I was on this diet when I was in my 20s because I would be running circles around everybody. Uh,
Yeah, right.
you know,
And Glow said she's surprised you don't even get anemic. You know,
yeah, I am
that's what Glow just
really,
said in the
really,
chat.
really surprised. It's a shame I've only discovered this when I'm 50 because man, I would be running circles around everyone if I was eating the way I eat now and what I eat now when I was in my 20s. Game over for anyone at all.
It would be really cool for you to do. Oh, sorry about that.
My bad. We talked at the same time.
My
Uh,
bad, my bad.
You've been actually kind of quiet, Grim. Go ahead.
I was just thinking. I'm trying to be, you know, listening. I'm trying to do more listening. You know what I mean? Stuff like that. But I have a question though. Do you think maybe that the reason you feel so good about eating plants now is because you did build your muscle base and stuff with the actual meat eating that you did up through your 40s and 50s, as far as you know all the way up until you were an actual adult, at 25, since whenever people stop um, producing so many of their younger hormones, start showing that aging thing. But yeah, so I mean, because we see studies where vegan kids are anemic and have very small muscle mass and
Hmm.
stuff like that, and it's like maybe it was because you ate meat that you were able to have and the the
The building blocks.
protein and stuff that you needed
Or
fast
maybe they're
enough.
eating junk food on top of it. You know,
Yeah, I mean,
Not
sugar's
only
really bad for you.
vegan parents don't feed their kids junk food, but a lot of them don't
Or I'm
know
just why
about
I don't know any of that.
glyphosate,
I'm sorry.
and then they overfeed their kids wheat, and wheat is high in phytic acid. Brown, it's that red dwarf wheat that they
Oh yeah.
changed it in the
hmm
'60s to, and it's all of the big agra has the red dwarf wheat, and it's high in phytic acid, and it raises blood sugars, and it chelates minerals and does all kinds of shit to the kids. And the vegans just don't know about it all the time. Not, oh, it's vegan, so it must be good. And then it's, well, what about the, glyphosate? They spray that on the wheat. You might think it's you know, non-GMO or whatever, but it's still sprayed with the weed killer because that dries it for harvest faster, and they do that. They use it. It's on everything, and it's
Yeah.
not really well studied. It's studied. We see the studies, Anthony Samsel and whatnot, showing us it's a synthetic analog of an amino acid, and that our bodies use it, and it's messed up because it doesn't have any elasticity to it, and then our cells are built out of it with shitty, because it's a glycol basically, and then they have no elasticity, so we have like COPDs and fibromyalgias and different kind of things that just start popping up everywhere because of this kind of shit. And plus, we see it now; it's in the vaccines and shit too. Glyphosate. The fuck?
Mhm.
Like, that's crazy. How is that getting in vaccines? And you don't even hear about it. It's not in the ingredients. It's not
And you
listed
know
as
what
an
they use
ingredient.
that on? They use that when they do Roundup in your yard for weed killing.
That's what I'm talking about.
Did you know
That's
that?
exactly what that is.
Nasty.
Monsanto's Roundup.
Yeah.
Glyphosate is
Yeah.
the main ingredient. And did you know that the inert ingredients, so-called inert, I'm doing the air quotes because they call them inert, meaning they are inactive ingredients, are actually make the Roundup or the glyphosate 2,000 times uh, more harmful to human cells than just the glyphosate itself. So it's then they study the glyphosate alone and say, well, look, it's relatively safe. It's seemingly for a poison dose relationship, even though there's an inverse dose relationship, which is the less is worse. It's like so crazy that that they're not doing showing everybody these studies.
Uh,
Sorry, I know I
uh,
left the field there.
there you go. 1 second. Um, no, there's a guy in the
So yeah, he's
Toxie something that was saying that where are the studies and everything. But before I'm in,
They admitted it recently where I live that they were spraying that in our sky. And they were doing that to hinder the process of the hardwood trees so that they can have more softwood trees growing, which is a bunch of bullshit. Biggest bullshit I ever heard. So of course we've made a big deal out of it right here, and I do chemtrail videos all the time. Um, and then so this so-called political party, she said, "Oh, we put a stop to that," and then basically, don't forget to support us, right? That very next day, this guy was just littered with this shit, you know. And you could see these white flakes falling out of the sky again. I had recorded it before too. This it looks like I stayed in the house because I don't know what the fuck it is. First, it looks like pollen until you really look at it, and it's not. Right? It's coming from really high up, so you know it's not pollen because it's not. I don't have anything around me that would even have that sort of look to it, right? Or I would have noticed it all these years, right? Every year I would have noticed it. And then so some of it had landed on one of my plastic chairs in my backyard. And like it pulled up, you know how it would pull up like with water or whatever. It ended up turning red, right? So there's also human blood. I don't know how they do it, but they're in chemtrails too. Hemoglobin. Oh, excuse. Sorry. My dogs are assholes. I'm sorry. They bark at the wind. So, Lou, it would be really interesting if you could maybe, for people that are interested in the diet you have, is maybe sometime write it out. And then when I do a stream, or maybe when Sean does another stream, like dealing with this topic, we could present the kind of diet that you do, like what you're like, say a week of what you do eat.
Yeah. I guess I could do that. I know I put a couple of
Because I know there
stuff.
are a lot of people that are interested in
Yeah,
it.
I put a few. I put a few things in the cooking section. I think it was. Where was it?
Oh, and Discord, yeah.
Yeah, I forget where I put them in there, but it's in Discord.
Yeah.
I put a couple of recipes. That's the word.
yeah, actually,
Awesome.
I'd really like to do that, especially because this topic actually affects me fighting and everything. Like to have it more structured, more preempted, so like everyone isn't trying to fly off the cuff with what they're trying to think and everything, because this
Right.
topic is extremely important and interesting to me.
Well, from what I hear so far, you need to eat more vegetables and stuff, fruits and stuff. Anyway, you need to
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
big time. If you're like mostly eating meat, that's not healthy for you, especially all year round. We aren't designed for that. That is agreed upon, I think, across the board. Like even for any meat eaters, they'll tell you
Mhm.
it's not something but like Yeah,
Yeah.
I
if you're eating the proper vegetables and fruits, you're
Mhm.
drinking distilled water. You get the best benefits.
Ugh. I'm opposite of you when it comes to this distilled water, just
Yeah.
because of how I was brought up. Right. I have nothing against anybody else's beliefs. That's your own. But for me personally, I don't drink the dead water.
Well, not dead. It's
It
Yeah,
electrified.
is.
it is. It
There's
is
no.
dead.
Doesn't help.
There's nothing. Yeah, but
um,
that's my own personal.
I basically don't eat anything that man made. Is my policy. If
Right, right.
someone else made it, I don't touch it. And the only exception where I break that to a degree is the use of either olive oil or coconut oil.
I use
Uh,
margarine. Margarine is made up of wax.
I,
I don't know if
I,
people realize that, but it is.
yeah, I don't use margarines or anything like that. Everything I eat is fresh vegetables, fresh fruit, and I only use flours here and there very sparingly. I don't use wheat, I use spelt flour. Um, I don't really eat bread, but when I do, I make my own bread with spelt flour, or I make my own pancakes without using eggs. So, it's basically someone else made it. I'm not eating it. It's really that's the way I go with my diet. But I only eat once a day. Like I said, I'm very
yeah,
extreme.
that's pretty much how I don't. I eat late lunch and then a late dinner, basically.
Yeah, I literally I have a dinner, and if I wake up in the morning, I feel like I didn't eat enough, then I'll have something. But I don't. I only have one meal a day. Admittedly, that one meal is the equivalent to two meals.
Yeah.
But I like to go into the ketone energy system, and that's, I think, the key to why I don't run out of energy, because I enter ketone, and boom, I just go, which probably explains why I just get on the bike and just go and don't want to stop until I realize, oh, it's late and maybe I should be getting in. That kind of thing.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's
All right,
scary,
guys.
It's scary when you know
I,
that certain thing. Well,
oh, I'm sorry. I'm at the time now where I actually got to get ready to go pick up my son from school.
Yep.
well,
Um,
this was fun.
it was. I did not expect it to be as fun as it was and interesting, but I appreciate Marlena, Graham, Lou. I don't remember the rest of it, but Lou Awake. There you go. Uh,
Just like
I
that's all good.
I remember. Okay, Lou. I appreciate you coming on, especially because you do not usually panel. You said, Marlena, you are welcome anytime. I don't care what's going on. You're
Oh, thank
always
you.
welcome on my panel. Grim,
Thank you so much, Sharon.
Grim, thank you because usually you like to really push a conversation, but I could feel you holding back. I appreciate
Yeah.
it, and you are always welcome on my panels. I definitely always enjoy your knowledge, and always take from it. So you are always welcome on my panel as well. Um,
I wanted to say before we left,
yes.
because I cut myself off. I was trying to be playful with Lou, but it came off a little harsh, a little hard.
It's all
But
good,
I
man.
forgot we don't know each other that well, so being playful like that, it's my, you know,
Yes,
I'll
anyone who
take
does
it.
not know Mr. Grimm, this is the
It's
nicest
his
him you'll ever.
personality.
This is the nicest him you'll ever meet. And even when
Yeah.
it's worse, he's still a great guy. He's just passionate.
Yeah.
That's what I've
I've been on
learned.
panel with him before.
Yes,
I
he. But
remember.
the important part is that he does not just spew utter bullshit. So it's even if when he gets really into it, it's always worth listening to. It's I don't think I've ever listened to him once that it wasn't something you could take in. Um, so everybody,
Yeah, but
whether
that
you
doesn't make
like,
me right about everything for sure.
yes, but it does make you think about everything.
Yeah, that's what needs to.
Sure
That's the main
does.
takeaway because, but I agree about the balance in the food. I mean, some people say that we don't eat any meat, some need any at all, and some, people say, we need all meat, and I say, we need a little meat.
Yeah, I I'm not gonna lie. I don't know if I'm gonna jump into the meats and vegetables, but I will
I'll tell
definitely
you
take
what,
it in
you're
consideration.
not going to be able to. I mean, if you don't have a taste for all of that shit, then it's going to take you a while to wean yourself into getting a nice taste for it. Like how you're going to season your mushrooms and stuff, because you got to get used to eating those now and all that kind of
Wait,
stuff.
wait, wait.
Hey, they're not bad by
I
the
don't.
way.
I,
Steak season them.
I put my mushrooms into peanut butter and jelly, and I just down it really quick. We're talking about different mushrooms, but that's just how I roll.
Those are the ones that make you.
That's gross.
That's why you got to put it. You got to put it in peanut butter, and then the peanut butter is dry, so you have to use the jelly to keep it from getting too dry, and it'll just slide right down. Yeah. Come on, people.
to blow up.
Trust me, I may not eat enough vegetables, but I can tell you how to take some drugs.
Orange juice.
Nasty.
Well,
all right, I definitely got to go.
Cut the live
out,
off.
man.
No, man, I can care less. What
Just kidding.
Mushrooms? Kiss my ass. I've done far worse stuff. But again, thank you guys for coming on my panel. You guys really have no idea how much I appreciate it. Everyone that's still left, like and sub them. All of them have something to put forth in your knowledge of everything. I promise you. Again, thank you for coming. Thank you for listening. Appreciate everyone. Thank you very, very much. Do you guys want to promote? Guys, whatever. Grim, you got 10 seconds to do it. So, so you know, because I got to go, and I know you could do an hour.
All right. Well, fuck Big Pharma, Monsanto. Tap water and buy your food from the farmer's market.
All right, thank you, Grump.
my
cut you off because I love you.
Yeah, my channel is the Marlena Effect,
and
we also have a voice chat. It's the Stillwater's dead.
And the Earth is flat.
Oh yeah,
Oh, that's right, it's flat.
Yeah. Oh, you know, Marlena. Lou, did you have anything you wanted to promote?
No. I'd like to say is I'd really like to speak to Grim one day. Me and him sort of like we're on the same level there.
I like you, Lou. So I'm gonna make sure there's a median there. Because, like I said, this is Grim's nice version, and I think he's doing
invite Grim to our chat.
Yeah,
I'll invite him to our chat.
Those who are nice, I promise. I mean,
he's not like a person. Like, he's not gonna be like just mean, but like he just really has to get everything out. So I just suggest a median, and that's for Grim's safety too.
Yeah, we're fine.
See, it's all good.
I pick up on subtleties, though, when people start acting like what you're saying is ridiculous and they're ad homing, and I pick up on this.
Yeah,
I don't put up with it at all. Point it out. I'm like,
yeah, that's
I'm too well.
Well, hang on, let me get. I'm gonna get out of this chat before.
You gotta go get the kid and all that kind of stuff. Go, man.
Yeah, see, every freaking time I talk to Grim, he just does this.
Hey, Lou.